This is why millennials have to work harder than previous generations. And by the end of this video, you're going to be pretty pissed off, or you should be. I know I am. And I'm going to explain to you why exactly it is harder and what sort of compounded together to make things so difficult to get ahead and just earn a living. There's been a narrative about millennials that existed for quite a while, that we didn't work hard enough, that we expect more than maybe is due to us. That's not really true. We are, in fact, harder working than previous generations. We generate more than before. We work longer hours. A lot of the reputation of the millennials is actually totally unfounded. If you look at the stats, we're more productive than before because we have to be. Not very long ago, I worked as a brand manager for a tech finance firm before becoming a full-time producer. So I'm going to try and explain this in a way that makes sense. Let's go back to the Second World War. The war basically bankrupted the UK, and the government took a ton of loans to pay off their debts that they had to accrue to fight the war. And the British also watched the empire break up, which had been a large source of the UK's wealth. Meanwhile, the US had fared quite well from the war. They had an emerging middle class, life for them was getting much better, their economy is growing through consumerism, and over the next couple of decades, this trend spreads to other nations, including the UK. So it starts to happen over here, just albeit later than it does in the US. Life is getting consistently better. As economics recover from the Second World War, capitalism is in full flow, and there's basically more money for people to spend, and so they buy more stuff. So this increases demand for resources, which creates more jobs because we have to take the minerals out of the ground and then turn them into the things that we want to buy. This is good for economy. I kind of cover this in one of my previous videos. You can click on the link here or at the end of the video or in the description below. So far, so good. There's more opportunity, the war is over, things are generally more stable around the world, and there's more money for people to spend. And so that's kind of the background for how things work with the previous generations. They worked hard, and they were in a time where if you worked hard, things were growing economically. So it very much felt like if you put your best into it and you work hard, you're going to get more, because economically, that's the way it was going for them. Now, there's a directive in economics, which is this. For every year, they expect around 2 to 3% growth. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but because of the way that finances compound, and this is compounded over years, that's double every 23 years. So every 23 years, the economy expects twice the output. So let me try and break this down again. For every, let's use pounds, okay, or dollars. So for every dollar or pound you're going to have, and you want 3% growth, then you're expecting to make a dollar or a pound plus 3 pence or cents the next year. But because it's compounded, the year after that, they expect to grow even more, not just grow and then stay at the same level. They want another step up. So that's 3% on top of the year before, and on top of the year before, and on top of the year before. Over 23, 24 years, that turns into 103.28% growth. So in that time, they expect you to grow what your output is, or the value of the economy, by more than double. And this is where it starts to piss me off. Now bear with me, but this is where it starts to make sense. So basically from the 1990s, to get the same standard of living for the amount of work you put in, you have to do double. So our output is actually worth half of what it was. So we have to be twice as productive to earn the same amount. But here's the kicker, because if wages went up accordingly, right? So every year you got 3% growth or 2%, whatever it is, then you'd expect wages to go up. They haven't. I'm seeing jobs advertised for a role that I did 10 years ago, and it's basically the same salary. That's offensive. And the cost of living's gone up. We're all feeling that. People who have money and wealth, they're saying, well, just, cut back on your expenses. They don't understand that it's not the same for us. Our cost of living now is so much higher, and what we earn is worth about half of what it was before. Wage growth in the UK has been 2.99% since 2001 to 2022. And this is another place where it hurts. The average house price in the year 2000 was £80,000, and in 2022 it's £275,000. That's a percentage increase of 243.75%, and our wages have gone up 2.99%. So the third issue is that interest rates have remained low. Now, productivity has had to more than double. House prices have gone up of 243%, and yet the interest rate is so low. If your money isn't growing faster than economic growth, which is like between 2 and 3%, then you are losing money. By saving it and just having it in a savings account, it's becoming worth less, and the house prices are going up, and you're not earning more. This is what's pushing against us. This is what's making the situation so bad for us. So if you feel like it's difficult, it is. If you feel like the older generations don't understand, they don't. You should be pissed off, and it is time to push back. It's time to make things more fair. I wanted to finish this video on a positive note. I don't have one. And I don't know what this means for our generation or the Generation Z. I really don't, but I know that it's time for us to demand some kind of change and stop having people who already have the wealth lining their pockets even more. This is a breaking point, and I do believe that there's going to be more conflict as a result of this unless change is demanded, and it is time. We've had enough. It's time for change. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe. If you enjoyed this, maybe you didn't enjoy it. But yeah, I appreciate your support. Thank you.